New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
This is What's Up and Why, bringing you the bright side of life, one fun moment at a time. Brought to you by the New Thought Media Network. Give a set of applause emojis in the chat for your co-hosts, Rev Casey Taylor and Be Lovely.
Woo! Clap for us, clap for us.
I love that you always got the applause going. I love that. I am so grateful for your positive attitude today.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm so grateful to be back for another wonderful episode of What's Up and Why. Another wonderful day to, shine a bright spot and look at the positive things that's happening in life. So I'm Miss Be Lovely.
And I am Rev Casey Taylor. How you be, Miss Be Lovely? What's going on with you?
I am healthy and whole. I wrote that down as an affirmation after I had therapy this afternoon. And we were just talking about how my perspective and my outlook on everything is a complete 180 from how it was when I first started going to sessions. Like, I'm at a place now where everything is not perfect. I'm not exactly where I want to be, but at the same time, I am grateful for where I am. I am hopeful for what lies ahead in the future. I feel very full and whole and complete, despite the fact that, things are still kind of shaky for me, but it's just having an outlook on life where I'm looking more on the positive side and I'm looking at, what can I be grateful for in this moment? It changes things.
That is beautiful. I'm so grateful that I get to not only see you today, but that we get to see each other in real life next week and you on this tip. I am excited. This spring, I'm feeling really similarly where I'm feeling very whole, perfect, and complete. And even in regards of that, what you said about not exactly being where you want to be, I'm in a place right now that I am exactly where I want to be, which doesn't mean I want to be here 5 years from now. But I really see the value and the beauty of being where I am. I love serving as the senior minister of United Life Center for Spiritual Living. And in the last couple of weeks, I've really been feeling like inspired. I'm wearing my Star Wars shirt in honor of May the 4th be with you. And I've been watching a whole lot of Star Wars lately. And I have this, I don't think I told you this. I have two sci-fi TV series ideas, and I've never written sci-fi ever before. And all kinds of things have unfolded in this way where like the date and the alignment of it all. I'm going to be singing Hero at church on Sunday. I've got somebody else doing the talk and I'm going to be doing the music. So I'm stepping out of my own comfort zone by different, taking it up. And I'm excited to be feeling creative and to have the bandwidth, to have the creativity I set a personal goal for myself of applying for the ABC TV Writing Fellowship next May. So I'm giving myself a full year to flesh these ideas out, get them on paper, hear people's feedback. I'm incredibly grateful for where I am and what I got going on.
I'm happy to hear that. And shout out to you for betting on yourself. Let this be a reminder to anybody out there who's watching this show. It's okay to bet on yourself and to, follow your heart. Do what is in your heart. It's better to take a chance at it and see what's going to happen than to, let the opportunity pass you by. That's the reason why I try to live my life with no regrets. Because when I was in high school, I'm going to give a little personal anecdote real quick. Despite me having like an amazing GPA and like everything, I was afraid to apply to the University of Maryland, College Park because I was afraid that I wasn't going to get in. Looking back now, I believe I had a really good chance, but that fear prevented me from applying. So I never know. I'd never, know if I would have got in or not because I didn't do it. And I told myself I never want to have this feeling again. So I'm always going to try something because it's better to try and you get the answer. And if you land, you land. If you don't, try something else than to, count yourself out without even trying.
That lesson sounds really beautiful, because chances are that college wasn't right for you anyway. You might have called it fear, but what happened is that something, your intuition was saying that wasn't the right place for you, and that lesson you got to take with you everywhere. So you, like that story that you just shared, serves as this reminder of the decision that you made in high school of setting you up for the life of success that you have right now. That's beautiful.
I know. Thank you. And I want to give a shout out to Blue Ivy Carter, who is proving that she is living a very amazing life of success. The Beyonce's Cowboy Carter Rodeo Chitlin Circuit Tour just started. And I don't know if you've seen the videos online, but Blue Ivy is definitely giving young Beyonce with her dancing. Like, her dancing has improved tremendously. When I see the videos, I'm like, I see the Dangerously in Love era Beyonce. I see the B-Day Beyonce. Like, she's giving 1,000%, and she is Beyonce's child for sure.
No doubt, no doubt. I hope it works out, that we get to see that concert together next week.
I know. I'm trying so hard to like stay away from all the videos because I want to be surprised. So, but from what I've seen, it looks great. And she incorporates the kids in it. Like, Rumi was up there. She had her little chance. She was waving at everybody and was so excited. It was so cute. And then she hugged Beyonce at the end.
I didn't think I was going to see this show. So I'm so glad that the powers that be, may the fourth be with us, is blessing us with the opportunity.
So have you had the opportunity to see these videos and these talks that's going on online about the one gorilla versus 100 men debate?
You know, I before you, I didn't even hear about it. I didn't even know before you.
I like the type of wavelength that you're on, because when I was scrolling through social media, I think it was about when it was Tuesday evening going into Wednesday when I first started seeing it. And I was like, why is everybody talking about, can 100 men take on a gorilla? What did a gorilla do? And I was just thinking, there's better things that we could be, debating, given the circumstances of the world that we're living in right now. But the videos I did find comical. But something that I learned from this situation, because I looked online, I was like, okay, can 100 men really take on a gorilla? And I came across this doctor. Her name is Dr. Tara Stanovsky. She has over 20 years of studying and researching silverback gorillas. And she said that she thinks, in her expertise, because humans are able to communicate and like formulate a plan, there would be some casualties, but 100 men could overtake a gorilla. But there's an even bigger conversation to be had about gorillas, which I didn't know about until I came across this doctor. She said that instead of worrying about if humans can fight gorillas, we need to be worried about the fact that gorillas are in a fight for their own survival. They are considered critically endangered in the wild. The next step from critically endangered is extinction in the wild, which I didn't even know that. And so she was basically like telling people in her interview, like, let's use this fascination about, about gorillas and turn it into action, and, spreading awareness for the fact that they're critically endangered, trying to get more, money for like research and protection, and getting them in like safer habitats so that they can have a chance to survive on the planet. So I just thought that was pretty cool. Like, that debate, taught me about, what's going on with these mammals that really help out our planet.
I'm so glad that you took it that way. This sci-fi TV project that I'm working on is very Avatar in tone of, technology and destroyers of the environment versus people who are actively working to preserve the environment. And that idea of the relationship between primates and humans is really sparking something in my creative juices. Thank you for inspiring me, because my whole vibe is using story to inspire positive change. That's what this show is about, is recognizing that we can live from a place of joy, live from a place of awareness. And with that joy and awareness gives us an opportunity to use our imaginations to transform the world for good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. So you're going to take us to our next segment?
It's giving reverence. As I've been on my rabbit hole of rewatching Star Wars movies, Andor, the second season of Andor just came out. So I was rewatching Andor in advance of watching this season. And I was reminded of the fact that George Lucas is married to Melody Dobson. I lived in Chicago at a time when Melody Dobson was still in Chicago. In fact, I think I remember I heard Melody's name before her and George Lucas got married, when they were engaged and she was doing her thing at Ariel Investments in Chicago. I learned from doing research on Melody Dobson that she started out as an intern at at Ariel Investments and ended up as president of this company. And in her relationship, you know, with her and George together, have really donated a lot of funds and given back to the city of Chicago in ways that even that Wikipedia page that I sent you about her, Miss B Lovely, didn't even say. Like the philanthropy portion was something like, oh, she restored this movie. And I was like, I know good and well she did a whole lot more than that. And so I did my own dive into the kinds of philanthropy that she does in Chicago. And she's currently serving as the chair of After School Matters. I remember all kinds of education programs and financial literacy programs that Melody Dobson is the person who's been spearheaded funding. She had a show that was about financial literacy on ABC for a while. So she really has been not only like risen to her own level of like serving as the board of directors on Starbucks and all of this impact that she's made, but she's always remained committed to advancing education and financial literacy in the city of Chicago. So I felt like she deserved my reverence. So we are giving reverence to Melody Dobson.
Yes, we are giving reverence to Melody Dobson. We definitely need more of that in this world, especially with, you know, education being dismantled and, you know, like there's not a lot of equal access to things in communities. So that's really cool that, you know, she's doing those things. She's very passionate about it. And it's all about, you know, taking the knowledge that you have and passing it on to the next generation and helping the people who, you know, are coming after you.
Absolutely.
So earlier you was talking about how this show is all about, you know, about spreading awareness and having awareness with yourself. So as we go into Do Better Blues, cue the jazz music. For Do Better Blues this week, I'm going to have a conversation about this epiphany that I recently had. So in Maryland, it's been very beautiful spring-like weather. Clear blue skies, the sun is out. It's a real nice breeze. So the weather is good enough to where you don't have to have the AC or the heat on. You could just have your windows open. You can feel that beautiful breeze. Can you imagine that?
Yeah, so, we're going out Oklahoma. Oklahoma is quite comfortable. Today, we had a whole lot of rain, but today it's beautiful.
We love those beautiful days. And I know me personally, I love when I can just have my windows open, like hear my wind chimes, feel the breeze. So this past weekend, I was out on my balcony, you know, enjoying my recreational activity that includes, you know, some smoking of, you know, a certain substance, but it is legal. And I heard in the distance, not too far, very near, because I'm in an apartment complex. I heard one of my neighbors shut their window close, and they closed several of them. And I thought to myself, I am ruining somebody's experience from enjoying, you know, having a breeze going to their home because of me wanting to, you know, smoke. And it made me think of my mother and my brother. They're in a condo and they can't go out on their balcony. They can't keep their windows open because they have a cigarette smoker who's under them. So that smoke travels up. And I just thought about in that moment, as I heard my neighbor closing their windows, it made me think of my mother and my brother who are always, you know, complaining and talking about how they can't enjoy certain things because of another person's activity. And I thought to myself, I don't want to be the type of person who ruins somebody's experience, especially when it comes to getting close with nature. So I think that I can choose to be selfless and find another way to enjoy my habit that doesn't impede on somebody else's experience.
That's beautiful.
And thank you. It is. It's the healed, evolved version of myself. But I say all that to say, we're all living and experiencing, you know, this life together. And there's nothing wrong with changing a little bit of what you do to be a little bit more considerate of the people around you. Think about how your actions affect other people, how it can, you know, affect somebody else's experience in life. Like I always think about Mel Robbins. She recently, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. She talked about on her podcast how you want to make sure, like if you're in a public bathroom, don't leave it messy. If you see something, try to leave it better than how you found it, because then if somebody else comes after you, they're going to have a negative experience. And, because of your selfishness is impacting somebody else. So I just want to, have us all to take a moment and think of what we're doing and how you can be a little bit more considerate of people in your community, people in the store, people you live next to, people on the road too.
Yeah, what you're saying reminds me of what you just said about the gorillas, is that we don't have a culture of leaving the world better than we found it. We have a culture of creating a whole lot of trash and not recycling our things, and that concept of creating the world better than you found it is an invitation to serve as a good steward for the earth. So instead of criticizing each other and pointing fingers around what such and such should be doing, that when we live in line with our own values and our own principles, we get to live by example. For instance, as I spoke of how as I move through these 90 days of the Making Peace with Your Inner Shit Talker program, I committed to giving up weed for 90 days. I'm definitely intending to make some exceptions for myself for my birthday and celebration of Beyonce. And our cousin is graduating, so to really celebrate and honor her, it feels like just a celebration. So being conscious and aware of that. But in this decision that I made for me about stopping smoking or taking a step back, so many people have told me that my decision has inspired them to think about their relationship to weed, and they're thinking of taking a step back or only associating it with using it for ritual and celebration. And I didn't make a choice because I wanted to inspire the people around me to make it with me. I made it for me. But it's this demonstration of when we make choices like leave the world better than we found it, we inspire others just by our example.
Absolutely. I had an experience similar to that this past summer. I was with a family member and we were at their fiance's family house. And somebody's dog, because it was a whole lot of people there for like a little family reunion thing, and somebody's dog had defecated on the little screened in porch, which is like a little meeting area where everybody was at. And so I woke up early in the morning and I saw it, and I thought to myself, you know what? It's not going to hurt me to just pick this up, especially since like there was children walking around. And I'm like, I don't want the babies to get into this and stuff. And so one of the women, when she had saw what I was doing, she was like, you don't even have no dog. I wouldn't pick that up. That's not my responsibility. And I was like, I'm not thinking about it about, being my responsibility. I'm thinking about this could affect the kids. I don't want any of the children to get into this, and it's unsightly, and it's not going to hurt me to, spend a few minutes to make this space better for the other people who's going to be coming through this.
What did she say when you said that?
You're better than me. She was real though, and I can understand that. I can understand that because some people are, that's some people's mindset. I'm not gonna hold it against them. Like it was no sweat off my back. So like it was just a little simple, cleanup, and I was on about my day.
I saw it was some kind of, like how people post this question, and the question was something like, what do Black people say when they think you're crazy? And one of them was, you better than me. It was,
couldn't be me.
Yeah.
Oh,
you do you, boo.
Yes. Well, if you like it, I love it.
Yeah.
See, but I was thinking about, not in that specifically, but I was thinking about how we don't use our words to be, authentic and real a lot of times. I feel like a lot of people like to sidestep the truth and how they really feel and stuff out of protection of other people's feelings. But I think one, that's people pleasing. Two, it's not true and authentic to yourself. And it's, it's holding back your voice a little bit. It's not, I've always said, it's not about what you say, it's how you say it to people.
It is so true. And, I think a big part that what you said about people pleasing, I really feel like is it. As you talked about how at the top of the show, you mentioned that you've become somebody that you've always wanted to be. And it reminded me to think about the quality that I went into therapy with was looking for clarity around what my own boundaries were. And in the process of going to therapy and learning about boundaries and looking at them, what I learned about myself was that my people pleasing habits were like deeply ingrained. And so I've been taking steps of recognizing when I am tempted to people please and making the decision not to, and then experience the discomfort of what comes along with it, right? Like for me, making somebody uncomfortable, what I want to do is I want to solve the situation. I want to fix it. I don't want you to be happy. I don't want you to be sad. So I have a tendency to really just give my own authenticity away of letting go of my own needs, letting go of my own boundaries to make somebody else happy. And I've had to really learn not only the value of setting boundaries, of following through on consequences for when those boundaries are violated, but to also recognize the necessity and the importance of being uncomfortable with somebody else's discomfort, letting somebody else have their feelings and not try and fix or give my own self away because of the efforts that I'm making to make somebody else feel better.
Exactly, because that's betraying yourself. One thing my therapist had taught me when we was in the beginnings of me learning what boundaries are and creating boundaries is that boundaries is self-love. That's how you love yourself, that's how you protect yourself, and that's how you stand up for yourself. And if you have a lack of boundaries, then you allow other people to, to use you to their whim and to walk all over you. And it's not a really good feeling. And I want to piggyback off of what you said, like when you was first, learning with creating your boundaries and how, it was so deeply ingrained in you to be people pleasing. Is this something I don't know if it's with when parents are, in the beginning stages of like, raising young girls. Cause I know for me, my parents, especially my mother, she was like all about the Southern Belle stuff. Like, she's like, as a little girl, you have to be, you have to be kind, you have to be courteous, you have to be thoughtful of other people. You have to basically like, lay out the red carpet and all that stuff. And that stuff, it was so deeply ingrained in me. It stuck with me through, I would say like maybe my mid to late 20s. It wasn't until my mid to late 20s where I got comfortable with saying no. And knowing like, you have to deal with your feelings with that. It's not my job to take care of your feelings, make you feel better with me, putting my boundaries down.
I honestly think that a significant reason why Black women hold on to this quality and teach this quality to their women, to their girls, is specifically for the purposes of our own survival. That when you think about previous generations and how Black women were treated, especially for speaking up for themselves. Yeah, I grew up in the era with the sassy Black woman trope was everywhere. And really all the sassy Black woman is a woman speaking her truth. But that alone was so controversial. And we're at a time, I'm grateful to live in an era where this concept of sassy Black woman feels like part of our past, is not front and center, where Black people don't feel like they have to hold their tongues for the purposes of keeping their job, of not being blackballed from their organization. And I'm incredibly grateful for that evolution. As I mentioned with this 90-day program, my 90-day Making Peace with Your Inner Shit Talker program, I've been documenting the ways that I'm moving through this program on Substack. I'm going to drop this link in the chat for our producer. Maybe I didn't mean for it to go up everywhere. We'll see what happens if she can get it up online. But in my Substack, literally yesterday, I wrote about how, well, the section that I'm on is divine timing, is operating from divine timing. And divine timing, it's simply having faith that everything is going to go the way that you want, that it's supposed to go. Like, as we talked about with your decision not to apply for this college, not only did it serve as this lesson for you, but chances are that wasn't the school for you anyway. And so having this opportunity to really understand that everything looks like a mistake, an error. Somebody taught you to do something this way and you make a different choice and other people are upset about that. All of it is divine timing. It's being in divine flow. And so that's what I'm on. I'm grateful for the reflection of it and that you've been a family member in my corner that I know doesn't ever turn my back on me every time I do something like blow up my life and move to Oklahoma. So I am grateful for it. Grateful for you.
I'm so mad that you always call it or refer to it as blowing up your life, because you did not blow up your life. You changed your life. Your life evolved. It evolved into a different version of what we have today.
It was the language my intuition gave me when it was like, hey,
blow it up.
that's what I heard.
There's been times where I've literally thought that, like, I made a post I think a few years ago where I was like, I just want to blow up my life and start all over and move, like, I think that's like move overseas or something. And then our dear Aunt Kathy called me and she was like, sweetheart, it's normal to feel that way, but do not put that on Facebook. But that's how I was feeling at the moment. It's like, do you ever have that feeling where it's like, I just have these strong feelings. I just need to let it out and express myself.
I don't, which is why I was so surprised that my intuition was telling me to do something that was not in character with who I was. And I appreciate you bringing up that, Auntie, because that's what I mean is that, my intuition says, do this thing that's right for you. And I know the aunties gonna have a problem with it. And so learning how to be comfortable despite their discomfort around my choices has been an entire journey.
It does take you to a different place where you finally can live your authentic self, your authentic life, and not worry about, the opinions of other people. Because like me working in media, one thing I've learned is people are going to always have an opinion. People are always going to say something either about, your work ethic, your personality and all this stuff. But I had to come to the pack where it's like, okay, if I'm showing up because of that wonderful book by, was it Don Miguel Ruiz, The 4 Agreements? I always do my best at everything I do now. I will admit in the beginning of my life, I would just either half-ass stuff, but I've gotten to the point where it's like, okay, I'm going to give 110% so that when I look back, I can be like, okay, at least I did my best. And it has completely changed the way how I feel about, what people say and what people think about me, because it's like, I know I did my best. I showed up the best possible way I could and gave what I could give in that capacity for that day. And I know that I move with good intentions. So with those two things, it's like, I don't care what anybody has to say because I'm doing the best I can and I'm trying to be a good person.
That is beautiful. The Substack the article I'm working on that'll be posted today is referencing Mariah's song. We talked about it on the March 27th anniversary of her birth episode, the Yes and song with her and Ariana Grande. And it's just, that's what it is. Yes and not even worrying about what somebody else has going on. Boy, put your lipstick on and strut, live your life despite what anybody else has to say about it. We are coming up to the final moments of our show. Do you have anything else you'd like to add before we pray out, Miss Be Lovely?
Be yourself, live in your truth, and just know that you're always going to have somebody who's either going to doubt you or try to make you feel small or try to make you feel bad for being who you are or loving what you love. But guess what? We're going to turn all that off and we're going to smile so bright that we blind them so they won't see us to bring that negative energy this way.
Yes. Closing out with a word. So that is a perfect invitation for us to move into prayer, inviting each one of us to bring to our conscious attention and awareness our own understanding of spirit, our own words that we use to describe God, knowing and trusting that we have been guided to this show by divine appointments, that we have heard whatever it is we needed to hear, to be reminded of that won't be me, or to leave the world a better place than when we found it. I'm grateful for all of the wisdom shared, for our invitation to live the brighter side of life, one fun moment at a time. And I am grateful to affirm today as the best day ever for each and every one of us. And in this place of gratitude and love, I invite us to close this prayer with whatever word or phrase resonates most. I choose to close by saying, and so it is.
Amen. Thank you for that prayer. And thank you all for tuning in for another episode of What's Up and Why, giving you the bright side of life, one fun moment at a time. I'm Miss Be Lovely.
And I am Rev KC Taylor. Have the best day ever.